Well, good morning. This is weird, okay? Just want to be transparent. Very weird for me to be up here. Not just because it's my first time, but because this is an honor, right? It's an honor for my pastor, while he's gone, to pick somebody to speak in his place. So I just want to say, Pastor Johnson's not here, but I want to say that we have an amazing pastor, okay? We have one of the best, not just in the state, but in the nation. We have one of the best pastors. I'm not just biased of that. I hear other pastors in the state that tell me, you have a great pastor, keep him. And I just want to say, Pastor Jonathan, if you're watching online, you might be, or you're in a session, I want to say thank you, and I'm honored to be speaking today. Now that the crying is over with, it's also an honor, and it's also a blessing to have my wife and my family here as well. It's cool. This is exciting. You might have seen me before. This is also might have been my second time. I preached one time before on a Sunday night. When you used to have Sunday nights, you would do another message, and so I got the honor to do that as well. So today, I want to open with a Bible verse, and some of you may know this Bible verse, some of you may not. And if you do not know this Bible verse, I encourage you to remember this Bible verses, and this story. It says, a woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding, and she could find no cure. Coming up behind Jesus, she touched the fringe of his robe. Immediately, the bleeding stopped. Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" But Jesus said, Everyone denied it, and Peter said, "Master, this whole crowd is pressing up against you." But Jesus said, "Someone deliberately touched me, for I felt healing power coming out from me." When the woman realized that she could not stay hidden, she began to tremble and fell to her knees in front of him. The whole crowd heard her explain why she had touched him and that she had been immediately healed. Then Jesus said, "Daughter," he said to her, "your faith has made you well. Go in peace." Now, we'll open with a story that some people may know, some people might not know. The year is probably 2016, and I'm in the middle of going through school of nursing. If you don't know my background, I am a nurse at trade, and I also have the privilege of being here on staff at the church. But the year is 2016. I'm in nursing school, and I'm in this moment of my life wondering, is this the place I'm supposed to be in? Am I supposed to be going through nursing? Granted, I'm halfway through probably, but I'm realizing and wondering, is this the calling that God has for me? Am I wondering, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? And at some point you find yourself in this place. Is it worth it? I can't find any hope in this. And then you question yourself, do I trust God had put me in the place that he had put me in? And you start wondering that. And it continues on. Pastor Jonathan started a series on prayer, and the church was open during that series, and you could come pray. And so also while I was in nursing school, I had some time off. And so my classes were later on in the day. And so the morning time, I had a chance to come to the church during this series and pray. And so it took a couple of weeks of me praying in the sanctuary, and I had a few Bible verses that I had picked out, and I would constantly just walk around and pray and just read these Bible verses, and they were just going along with, just, am I in the right place? God, I trust you, but sometimes we say I trust you, but sometimes deep down, we also have some hesitation as well. And so we find ourselves, and I find myself in this moment, God, I trust you, but deep down it's like, do I really trust God at this point in my life? And so the story goes on, and the end of the prayer time, the end of the week, and the end of the series, and I get clarification during the prayer time and during my Bible verses, and I get lots of just answers from God during that time, and that it fully restores myself, and I gain more trust. And in that moment, it strengthened my faith. And so the title of today is, do I trust that he can? And so I asked that like in a question form. Do I trust that he can? And so in this story that we read today, you kind of might find yourself in the woman's predicament, right? You may be wondering, can God heal me? Can something happen? Do I trust God? You know? And so today I have 3 points. Like Pastor Jonathan was telling me, he said, hey, all good speakers have 3 points. And I was like, you know what? You're right. You know, like 3 points is a good minimal thing. You can get 1, 2, and 3. You can cut it short. You have a closing argument. You kind of close and challenge. And I said, you know, Pastor Jonathan, that's why you're my pastor. You have great wisdom, and you kind of help guide me. And he did. On Monday, I called him. I said, Pastor Jonathan, I know this is a great honor, but I need a little guidance in this. This is my first time. And so we talked for about 30 minutes during my lunch break. And he said, you know what, Drew, you're going to do an amazing job. I'm praying for you, but also I'm going to send you a little template of just a way to kind of structure your sermon. And I was very privileged and honored of that. And so I thank him for that. And so point number 1 today is, how do I start? You know, we're in that moment, and the question is, how do I start? And so in verse 43, we read that a woman in the crowd had suffered for 12 years with constant bleeding, and she could find no cure, right? So we see this woman had lived in suffering and shame and isolation for 12 years, right? She had been spending money. It doesn't say that, but it says she can find no cure, which gives us a reason to think that she was spending money on doctors and other prophecies and all kinds of what ifs and can you heal me and all this kind of things. And we see that she spent money. She spent time in other things. She did not know that the thing that she really needed, the ultimate thing, the ultimate healing, the miracle that could come out of her life, was just about to be in sight, right? And I say that because, back it up a little bit, before verse 43, Jesus is actually on his way to another healing that's going to be happening in another town. And Jesus finds himself going through this town. And so this woman, right, I said that she's been bleeding for 12 years. And so according to the Jewish law, to the customs, her condition made her unclean. Her entire 12 years, right? She was unclean, and she couldn't go to the temple to be clean because she was uncleaned. And there was no way for her to be clean. There was a process that you had to go through to become clean, but because of her constant problems that she had for 12 years, she was never able to be clean. And so she lived her life, some may say, as an outcast. She lived outside the temple, and she was never able to get into the temple and see what was going on and to be cleaned. Right? She couldn't be with others. People couldn't touch her. If they touched her, they automatically became unclean just by touching her. She couldn't be around other people. So she ultimately was just living her life as an outcast outside of these cities' walls, just wondering, what if, God, what is going on? Can I be healed from this? Because we see she wants to be healed because she says she could find no cure. So she's reaching out and she's wondering, how can I be healed? What can help me? And sometimes, again, we find like we have no hope in this situation. And you may find yourself in this moment as well as the woman, and you say, I feel like I cannot get through any of the situations. You may be praying through lots of anxiety or grief or pain. Or you simply just feel stuck in your life. You just feel stuck and wondering, there's more in my life. God has called me to more, but I feel stuck in my Christian walk. Or you may just be simply asking for help. You may just be asking, God, I need help in my situation, in my life. God, and I'm reaching out to you. And we're going to see an amazing part of the story that she reaches out to God, and we see an amazing miracle that happen. But I'll leave a question for you for this point number one. What are you suffering through silently that you haven't brought to Jesus? What is going on in your life that you may be suffering with and you haven't truly brought it to Jesus? You haven't trusted him with this and you haven't brought it through. You're battling with these emotions, or you're battling with the situation with yourself, and you haven't truly brought it to God. Point number two that I have for today, and this is continuation. It is bold faith can help push through obstacles. And so in verse 44 and following, it says, coming up behind Jesus, she touched the fringe of his robe. Immediately the bleeding stopped, and Jesus said, who touched me? Everyone denied it, and Peter said, Master, this whole crowd is pressing up against you. But Jesus said, someone deliberately touched me, for I felt healing power come out from me. In other books of the Gospels, in verse 44, some say, or she says, if I just touch his clothes, I would be healed. If I can just only touch the hem of his clothes, I can be healed. And so sometimes we may find ourselves in that situation ourselves, right? We may just be saying, if I can just only touch Jesus, if I can just mention his name, if I can just pray a prayer, or if I can just lift up something, I would be healed. And that is the kind of faith that we're called to have, right? The same faith that this woman had, the same trust that she had. If I could just touch the hem. Now, also remember that Jesus is in the middle of a crowd as well, right? So he is surrounded by a bunch of people, and she had enough faith and had enough trust that I didn't need to just see Jesus or just talk to Jesus. I just need to touch part of his clothes, and I know I would be healed, right? But also, the problem is she's not supposed to be in the crowd, right? Because we remember at the beginning, she's been suffering for 12 years from bleeding, which automatically made her unclean. So she's not supposed to be around these people, and the other people also know this as well. They know you're not supposed to be around here. But every step that she took, as she got up, so she was over off to the side, every step that she took closer and closer to Jesus was also trust, but also she was taking a risk, right? And you or I are also taking a risk sometimes as well. We fully trust and have faith in Jesus, but every step that we take, sometimes we think it's not Jesus or it's not God. Sometimes we think that it's not going to happen. We don't think that what we're believing is going to happen. But by the end of today, I hope that you believe that every step you take is not a risk, but it's a success. Right? You're not risking something. You're looking towards Jesus for that healing and for that trust and for that faith. Right? So again, every step she took was a risk towards the obstacle. The obstacle is the crowd. Right? And again, despite she's also weak, she has a lot of shame. She also is fearful, right? I mean, she has to be wondering, like, what if? Like, is this going to happen? I know if I just touch him, I'll be healed, but also it's a risk. It's a trust of faith, right? And so she didn't just believe Jesus could heal. No. She trusted on that belief. You see, even when the crowd or other things around us, now picture yourself in this moment, when other things are around us and other things are crowding in on us, there's other obstacles around us. Things around us are telling us, no, you can't do this. No, this will never happen. No, you can't make it any further. Where you are is where you are. No. She pushed through the crowd. She pushed through the obstacles that people were telling her no, or obstacles that she might have had in her head. She pushed through those obstacles. She pushed through that pain, the fear and the anxiety. She pushed through that because she trusted in Jesus. She touched the hem, and she was healed. But I also ask this question, I also wonder how, right? We kind of come into the middle of the story. So how did she say, if I can just touch this hem, I will be healed? It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible, I don't believe that she said, oh, it's because so-and-so, or I read this. But I think we can make strong assumptions about that, right? I wonder how, right? Had she heard stories? Did she grow up? Of course, we could say that for 12 years since she was unclean, she could have grew up in the Jewish culture. Maybe, I'm not too sure. And so she knew of stories of someone who was going to come and heal, or someone who could come and save. Maybe she read stories from the Old Testament about someone who is coming, who has healing in his wings, someone who can heal you and bring life back into you. Or here's another option that I thought of. Did she have other people in the town who knew about Jesus? And so did she have other people who knew there's someone who can heal, and I also know that you are going through pain and suffering as well. And I can tell you that he is coming. I just saw him. He just left this town, and I was running ahead to let you know that he is coming, right? And so she could also say that, I know I'm unclean. I know I can't be around these people. I know I can't be face to face with Jesus possibly. And so we see, maybe if I can just touch his hem of his clothes, maybe I can be healed, right? And so I come to you today with the same question. Have you heard stories about Jesus and you know the healing that he has as well? Or are you the other person? Do you know somebody who is struggling with healing and pain and anxiety and grief and physical and emotional and spiritual needs? Are you somebody who knows somebody like that? And you can be the person to go to that individual and be like, I know somebody who can help you. His name is Jesus, right? Are you that person as well? And so she had put her trust in other things as well, right? Finally, we realized the only way for her breakthrough moment, for her healing, was to put her trust in Jesus. Remember at the verse 43, she had a constant bleeding for 12 years and could find no cure. So she was searching for something, right? She was searching for more. She was searching for trust. She was searching for healing, for a miracle to happen. But ultimately, you and I know the end of the story. We know that healing comes from Jesus, comes from that trust from Jesus as well. And so we see, I love, if I can ever get a chance to pull Greek out of a verse, I get the chance to do that. And the word that I found that stuck to me was to touch, right? If I could just touch Jesus. And the Greek word that you can find is called hopto, right? I think I'm pronouncing that right. I was Googling it, and I got to a Blue Letter Bible app, and it was telling me how to pronounce that. And so hopto, right? And that is the Greek word that's used for touch. But if you look at the Greek meaning behind that, it's not just to touch, right? It's to adhere to. It's to cling to. It's to really reach out to. So we see that the Greek word was not just if I can just touch, I'll be healed. No, it was more of a, if I can just reach out to Jesus in faith and trust, if I can just reach out, and not just reach, but adhere to, if I can be close to Jesus and get really close to Jesus, right? If I can trust him and put my faith in him, I will be healed. She didn't just say, I just need to touch and walk away and I know I'll be healed. No, the Greek word was to just reach out and adhere to and put that trust into Jesus. And so I ask you today, are you using the same Greek word? Are you using hopto? Are you adhering to or getting close to Jesus, or are you just wanting to touch him and then turn around and go your other way, right? Are you reaching out to Jesus in faith and in trust? And the question I ask you is, are you reaching for Jesus with bold, believing faith, even when you are faced with all kinds of obstacles, right? Come to my last point. Faith connects us personally to Jesus, right? It says in verse 48, then he said to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace. See, Jesus could have just let her slip away quietly, healed. But no, he stopped in the crowd to tell her he has healed her, right? Which I believe had to be so powerful for all the people to be around Jesus, right? Remember, there's a huge crowd of people around Jesus, and this woman comes and touches him, and she's healed. But no, there's also, Jesus says, wait, there has been power that has come out of me and has healed somebody. And so we get to see this, that now this woman, in her identity, in her personal life, she has now become a daughter, but once she was just a woman with a bleeding disorder, right? She was just somebody else. But because of this faith that she had to trust in Jesus, now she connects personally with Jesus, now with the title daughter, or some of you, son, right? If you're putting your trust out and you're trusting Jesus, right? We get this name of full love, belonging, and restored relationship, right? He didn't just heal her body, he healed her heart and identity. She went from a woman with a bleeding disorder to the title daughter, which had to be a huge, huge step for her, right? She had just been known as probably an outcast, or somebody who's just left to the side, and nobody would come talk to me except for a few people. But now she had reached out to Jesus in faith and put her trust in him, and she got the title named daughter. What an amazing, just eye-opening experience to know that she had been feeling just anxiety, pain her entire life, maybe feeling hopeless, and Jesus calls her daughter. And so we see that the breakthrough in your life is not just about a miracle, right? It's about knowing who you are in God. It's knowing who you are in God. Yeah, we can put our faith, we can trust in Jesus, but we see also Jesus didn't just heal the woman because of her faith. He also gave her the title daughter and said, your faith had healed you. Go in peace. And so last question I ask you is, do you trust Jesus not only with your problems, but to change your heart and identity as well? Right? And so again, I ask you, like I said at the beginning, do you trust him? Right? Do you trust Jesus? What do you need to reach out and trust Jesus with today? Do you need to reach out to Jesus with your stress, with healing in your body or healing for somebody else's body, for your family situations or for finances in your life? A miracle that you almost gave up with, a miracle that you said, I just don't think that it's going to happen, God. Is there a miracle in your life that you're looking for that you almost gave up on, and today you say, no, not today. Jesus, I put my trust in you. I trust that this miracle can happen. Or do you trust him in your pain or someone else's pain? Or do you trust him in that there's more to my life than just where I am right now? There's more to me. There's more that can happen. So today, Jesus is not ashamed of you like the woman may have felt like. You know, you may feel hopeless, unworthy, overlooked. Is there anything else I can do in my life? And I say yes, right? Yes, if you simply reach out in faith and trust God, even just a small touch, even just reaching out, getting closer, taking those risks, going through the obstacles, whatever is around you that's telling you no, pushing through those obstacles and saying, not today, I have put my trust in Jesus and I am looking to him and I am reaching out to him in faith and in trust. As we finish, I'll bring the worship team. If the worship team will come up real quick, we're going to end in a song. And as they come up, if you're taking notes or if you're just thinking about how can I go on not just through Sunday, but how can I apply this to the rest of my life? How can I apply this to the rest of tomorrow? Tomorrow's Monday. We still have to go out of the church. We can't just stay here and then just say, yeah, this message was really good or it was okay. And you know what? I can't wait for next Sunday. No, we have to go out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we have to live out what we believe and what we trust. And so I ask you this last thing to stick with as you go on to Monday is, Jesus, I trust you with blank. And so as we conclude today, as the worship team is going to sing, I want you to go out the rest of the day and the rest of the week and asking yourself, Jesus, I trust you with, and then fill in the blank with whatever you have that you're looking for that trust Jesus with. God, we just thank you so much for today, God, and we just thank you for your love and your guidance, God, and we just thank you that we can just fully trust in you and put our faith into you. God, we pray that we can just open our hearts and open our minds to you, God, and that God, whatever we're struggling with today, God, whatever we are looking forward to you, God, we're reaching out to you in trust and faith. God, whatever that is, I pray that people will just lift those up and just say, Jesus, I trust you with. And just continue on with their life, God, and remembering that there is more to life, God, and that's you. God, we fully put our faith and trust into you. God, we love you and we thank you. In your name I pray, amen.